is Elliott Serrano and Jose Melendez coming to you from Dreamland Comics here in Schaumburg, Illinois. This is the Comic Culture Warrior YouTube channel. But we've been talking about Dark Avengers and Brian Bendis and his ongoing themes, and taking exception to some of them. But we got to put this preface here, and I know, when we brought this up last time, it was like the old. Okay, first, I am not one of those types that would say, "Oh, the media and violence in the media and in comics, it's corrupting our children, and the rap music is making them go out and shoot each other and stuff." Far from it, and Jose and I are by no means trying to say that we're against violence in comic books. I mean, again, comic books are escapism, and superheroes, for the most part, are these power fantasies that we have, basically feeling helpless in the face of corruption and evil and all these things in the world that we can't seem to get a grip on and fix. So through comic books, we express that frustration, and our heroes kick and punch and blow up villains, and that's the way we, get over our frustrations. But again, as I think Jose said quite passionately, the real world is seeping more and more into our comics, and we're seeing the stuff that's out there in the real world in our books, and it's taking away from that escapism. Especially when, to me, I look at a book like Dark Avengers, and to me, that is just saying that the heroes of the Marvel Universe are impotent. That the villains have the upper hand, and we know this is, they call it the Dark Reign. It's going to be a status quo that's going to change in another year or so, or whatever. That's the way things are in comics now. But right now, the heroes in the Marvel Universe are impotent because the villains can come in and co-opt their images and their powers and everything, and that adds to the frustration in my view. And on top of that, somebody tell me what Wolverine Jr. is doing in this book too. He is just as useless in the Dark Avengers as the regular Wolverine is in New Avengers. I mean, why is he there? Someone tell me, why is he there? He does nothing!
Well, they didn't think him important enough to be on the cover.
On the cover.
So.
But so much is made of the son of Wolverine being Wolverine in the Dark Avengers that, But again, I don't know why he's in there. Moving on. Some good stuff. I just read this. Invincible by Robert Kirkman. This is
Ryan Otley.
And Ryan Otley that you've really been pushing me to read. And issue number 59 is a standalone, kind of like a one and done. If you've never read Invincible before, this is a nice little intro, not only into the character, but I think into the way that Robert Kirkman frames this universe, the Invincible universe. How he takes his characters and all these different dramatic situations and lets the characters, instead of taking a plot and saying, this is what's going to happen because this is what the plot says, he lets the characters grow organically and things go from there. Jose, why don't you tell us about this one?
Well, it's pretty much, it's kind of cool. Again, like Elliot just said, it is a one and done. It's pretty much the entire issue takes place, it's through the eyes of a new villain that is emerging because of something that Invincible did to his family.
Or that he believes Invincible did to his family.
Well, no. Invincible fighting his dad, Omni-Man,
right,
indirectly caused a death in this person's life.
Correct.
Killed his sister.
Right.
In the ensuing battle. So this guy actually has powers. He works for the government, and he's kind of stealing stuff from the government agency that he works at to help him control his powers, so he can get revenge on Invincible. Mm-hmm. And his wife and his looks like maybe 4 or 5 year old son. His wife is 100% behind
Right.
him behind her husband wanting to kill Invincible for what Invincible did.
She's just trying to be a supportive spouse, you know.
Right.
Wow.
And this part where she's watching her husband take on Invincible and almost beating him, has a smile on her face.
Mm-hmm.
This is how much these people despise Invincible,
Right.
because of something that he did to them inadvertently. Now, I'm gonna have to spoil this because I kind of want to draw the contrast between what happens in this issue and Dark Avengers. In this issue, a woman does die.
Mm-hmm.
All right, a young child dies.
Mm-hmm.
But see, there is, I could not read this and just because the way that Kirkman writes and presents everything, and he just lets the story grow and flow, had a real emotional impact.
Yes.
I mean, and
yes.
What you're seeing here is quite possibly the origin of a supervillain that somewhere down the road Invincible is going to have to deal with. This is the origin story
Right.
of this villain, Powerplex.
Right.
Awesome name. But again, it's the context in which the violence is used.
Right.
And you cannot, in this entire issue, even though this guy's a villain, you cannot help but sympathize with this guy.
Right.
To
a certain point. To a certain
point, right. But and they do a good job of just showing his home life and the stuff that he talks about with his wife and his family. And it's not like, oh, this guy just has a problem. No, it's not just this one guy. It's his wife and his child. They understand why he's doing what he's doing.
Right.
And it makes you sympathize with that character. That it's not just one man's vendetta. It's actually affected what Invincible did. It's affected a lot of people. And I don't know, man. This is just good comic books. Again, and I use the term good comic books a lot. That this is a comic book that I want to read. Yeah, it was depressing. Yes, I understand that. But there's the difference between this and this. This actually, the tragedy which happens in this book is going to lead to somewhere down the line. And it was very heartfelt what happened to this character. And was I depressed about it? Yeah, kind of slightly depressed. But again, it helps further along the story of Invincible and his universe, and it was just well done. Again, it's just the context that it was used in. So,
and on a purely technical note, not only is the writing really good, the artwork Ryan Ottley does a really good job on this. His artwork kind of it walks that tightrope between being a little cartoony, but again, there is some real emotional stuff that goes in here, and that can be tough to pull off if you're too cartoony. So Otley is one of those really
last panel you see of that guy just staring down. That's pretty good stuff.
It is. It's very good. Everything all together. The layouts, the coloring, the inking. This is a very solid book. I sat down, I read it. I enjoyed it. I really.
And you haven't read Invincible since like the first trade.
Since the first trade. That's correct.
Right. And somebody had made a comment on one of our videos about asking me what my markers are for a good comic compared to a bad comic. Everything I just explained about this comic, this is good comic. This, not this, to me. Okay, more of this, more of amazing. Did I do this? God.
No, you did that.
All right. Stuff, more Mark Waid, Eduardo Risso, Amazing Spider-Man stories. More Invincible. Tons more Invincible. I mean, that's what I want to see in comic books.